welcome to the One Lonely Owl YouTube channel. My name is Terry, and today is going to be a very short episode of the One Lonely Owl podcast. Thank you for joining me for episode 31, and we're just going to dive right in. As you can tell, my voice is quite strained. I'll apologize in advance, and I'll give as much warning as I can if I'm about to start coughing, and I'll try to edit as much as that out as I can. But I wanted to get in front of the camera as quickly and as efficiently as possible so that I could get something completed for now that we're into May. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I'll say hi, Mom. When this goes up, it'll be around about Mother's Day, so I'll say Happy Mother's Day to Mom and all the mothers out there. Like I said, I'm going to do a quick and dirty episode today, and as always, my show notes are down here. As you can see, the background is quite different than it normally is. My office has been sort of commandeered to be a storage place at the moment for a massive item that my husband has to store, so I cannot get in front of my normal backdrop. And I haven't been able to get into my office really very much since the last time we recorded. So I apologize for not being present. And as you can tell, I've been quite sick. So my husband and I moved this giant item into my office so that the office was out of commission. My kids were off school for spring break, so I was being a parent full-time, and then we all got sick. So there's been a bit of a triple threat as to why you haven't seen my face on the internet for the last few weeks. So again, thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to kind of go through my typical, format, where I talk about what are you at, yes bye, and twacking and all those sorts of things. If you are new here, I'm from Newfoundland originally, and I use some Newfoundland terminology to describe the things that we talk about in this episode and in the whole podcast. So if you're looking for descriptions of what those mean, go back to previous episodes, and I usually describe what each one of those things mean. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into what are you at. There was a secret project, and there still is a secret project, and I'm this close to being complete. But by the time this goes live, this will already have been gifted, or at least a photo will have been gifted to the recipient. So, I guess maybe I'll start with the reason this was a secret project. My parents will have been married for 50 years on this Friday, so it's Wednesday right now, the 6th, and on the 8th of May, my parents will have been married for 50 years. So the gift that I was making was for my parents. And like I say, by the time this goes live, which I think will probably be by Friday, they'll already know about this gift. They won't have it. We were planning to go visit my family, but yeah. This is not conducive to travel, and we definitely don't want to be sharing this with anybody else. So, the secret project I believe it's called Banyan Love Blanket, and I'll find out the details and I'll put everything just sort of below here. I think it's originally made as like a baby blanket or something, but I increased the size of it to make it the size of a throw. So it starts out with a garter ridge border, and there's a little bit of a garter and stockinette stripes, and then in the middle, so I'll show you the stockinette stripes and the garter ridges, and then there's a garter ridge border over here. And then the reason I chose this blanket is because you'll see the banyan tree in the middle, the two banyan trees. Let's just make sure you can see that. So I felt that the two trees were symbolic of my parents growing together. As you can see, the cables of the two trees grow together. And I thought that symbolized 50 years of marriage pretty well. So then it goes on and on and on. And then there's the garter ridge border at the bottom, which will of course be repeated at the top as well. So I'm about I don't know, 20, 25 rows away from finishing, so I'll likely finish that today. And then I will show my parents, probably over video chat, and obviously it'll be up on this video, so Mom will see it at least. Hi, Mom. I think I already said that already. So that was the secret project, and I literally have been exclusively knitting on that pretty much since, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't hand knitted anything other than that since the previous episode that we chatted about it in March. I will show, and I believe I've taken a couple of photos, so I'll insert the ones here. The first will be of the sock tube. So the sock, oh, sorry, my apologies. This blanket is made with very, very, very deep stash acrylic from minimum, 2010, Australia, when I lived in Australia. I picked up 2 big balls of acrylic just to keep myself knitting. I think I bought myself a size 4mm circular needle. And I was just planning on knitting a blanket out of a pattern that I found at Big W or something. And so yeah, this is deep, deep, deep stash acrylic. So it's at least 16. Yeah, it's 16 years old. So really excited to get that, to put that to use, because I never did finish the blanket that I started in Australia. But yeah, so, and it's not being held in a bag of any sort because it's too big. So that's item number 1. Item number 2, like I said, the sock tube. Pretty much immediately after my last episode, I cast on and fixed the sock tube, or like I fixed the errors that I had made, and knitted the sock tube as far as I could go. And then immediately after that, having the sock tube grow as long as you see it in the photo, my husband and I had to move this massive screen in here, so I can't actually access it, so I can't cast it off, I can't do anything with it. It's just sitting there on the circular sock machine, so that's unfortunate. The next item that we will talk about, oh man, I am on fire today. That is made, the sock tube that you see is yarn from a dyer who no longer dyes. Her name is Arctic Crafts by Benta, and her YouTube channel is the Epilogue Lady. So if you choose, you want to go watch her, she's quite lovely. She lives in Norway. This was way back when she was still dyeing yarn, and I believe this is called You're a Mean One. And you'll see in the photo, it's obviously a reference to the Grinch, because it's like a neon green. I keep looking over here because that's where the sock tube is. It's a neon green with dark green and red sort of specks in the middle of it. So those will be some wonderful Christmas socks. I already have some hand knit Christmas socks with this. It was 100 gram skein, so I just used whatever it was I had left over, and I'm sure I'll be able to get another pair of socks out of it. But I have to wait until, so right here where you cannot see is this massive screen, which is why I can't do anything in my office at the moment like I normally do. But yeah, I digress. So the sock tube got some work. That's You're a Mean One by Arctic Crafts, who no longer dyes anymore. And of course it's not sitting in a bag because it's hanging on the CSM. The last item that I'm going to talk about sits right here. That is my wonderful loom where I warped some, I'll show you the twine that I use. It's not the right color. You'll see in the photo when I post it. It's kind of a teal color that I chose, but it's just some like dollar store craft twine. It's 100% polypropylene, which I know not great for the environment. I'm not a big fan of doing things like that, but I wanted something that I knew was going to last, and this stuff obviously will last for a lifetime. So I wanted the warp to be made with something really, really, what's the word, like, hardy, that's not the word, but anyway, I wanted something that was going to last for a foot rug and going to deal with a lot of wear. So I've got it warped, and like I said, I'll post a photo here of the warp that you can see. The item, or the weft, the fabric that I'm going to use for the weft, you've seen already, which is the old bed sheet that I had that is, it's flannel and it's got like moose heads or stag heads or something on it. I've got some of that already. I have not done, I actually haven't even finished warping the item, I haven't even finished warping the loom, so I'm close, but again, haven't been able to get back into my office. And my loom is a 4 foot wide loom. I think that's 180 centimeters or something like that, so it's a wide, it takes up a lot of space, and this massive screen that's in my office at the moment does not allow for sharing space like that kind of a footprint. So, I'm not doing too bad considering I didn't have a lot going on as far as projects go, but I did get partly warped loom, I got a partly finished sock, I got a 99% finished blanket that I'll likely finish today, and one more thing that I wanted to share, not really related at all to knitting or yarn or quite honestly any of that, but it is a craft. If you're new here, you don't know this, but I love The Last Homely House. Kate from The Last Homely House is probably, she is top 5 for sure, probably top 3 of my favorite YouTube channels. She has a whole playlist that I have now watched at least through once. I've watched other videos of them multiple times of how to make books. So I decided several weeks ago that I wanted to do it. With the illness that I'd been dealing with, I had been in bed for at least 2 weeks. I was pretty much horizontal. Pardon me. But one day last week, I was feeling up to being vertical for a little while. So I thought I would give it a shot. I don't have any of the items with me because they're currently sitting under a big pile of books, but I will show you those in the future. I'm really excited about it. I hope it turns out well. I'm not exactly sure. Like, Kate just does such a wonderful job and it looks so great. Obviously, this will be my first time making a book, so I don't anticipate it's going to be perfect, and I don't expect it to be perfect. That's the point of it being handmade. But, yeah, so I will share those with you. I think I got 2. I got a set of covers for, I believe it'd be like an A5, and then like the half of an A5, whatever that size is, I don't know, because I took A5. So, what is it called? It's like, I think it's 8.5 by 14, like legal, not letter, but legal size paper, and you fold it in half, I believe gives you A5. We don't usually use like the A5 format, A4 and all that sort of thing. Although the 6 months I lived in Australia, I did come a little bit familiar with it. But anyway, you can feel free to correct me in the comments if you like. But yeah, so I've got one which is an 8.5 by 14, like a legal size, folded in half. So I think that's an A5 size. And then I've got that size, so a legal folded in half, and then folded in half again to make the smaller book, because I just had a little bit of cardboard left to make the cover, so I went ahead and did that. I'm just going to pause for 1 second because I feel a cough coming on and I don't want to do it in your ear. Sorry about that. I'm really glad I hit pause because that was nasty. So yeah, that's what I've been at. Other than that, obviously, like I said, I was horizontal for a minimum of 2 weeks. I've been really unwell, whatever this sickness is, if it's a cold or a flu or some sort of virus, I'm not sure. I've been to the emergency room once. I've seen my family doctor. I'm on a bunch of medications and stuff because of my immunocompromised system. But yeah, I'm still struggling. My husband now has it. My little girl had it. Pretty sure she was patient 0. I think she brought it back from school. Yes Buy. Yes Buy is where I talk about what I have completed. Literally nothing. There is nothing to share. Moving on. The next topic is twacking, where I talk about things that I may have purchased or items like that. Again, absolutely nothing. I've talked a little bit about the trip that my kids and I are doing to Newfoundland this year. I probably bought a few things to travel with. I think I bought each of us a neck pillow. I think I've done that since the last episode, for the flight and all that. I bought a clothesline, like a little camping clothesline, so that when we're traveling on the road, if we need to dry out some bathing suits or whatever, we've always got something to be able to do that with. But yeah, nothing of consequence, nothing that you guys would be excited about. I have bought, which I'll talk about in Jigs and Reels, I bought some books, some ebooks, so I can share that with you down there. Now to Once is where I talk about the things that I'm going to be doing coming up. I'm going to obviously finish this blanket. I'm going to have to finish that by Friday because I want to take a photo of it. I want to block it, take a photo of it, and send it to my mom and dad for their anniversary. I am going to, as soon as this massive screen is out of here, ideally I'm going to finish that sock tube. I'm going to finish warping this and then start to weave the floor mat. And I want to finish the books. So once the covers and everything are dry and they're done sort of sitting underneath the weighted books, I will hopefully start to stitch those together and get a finished book out of it, and hopefully be able to show you that in the next episode. Oh, and I think I talked about this in my last episode. My guild, which is out of central Alberta in Didsbury, has started April 1st, so it's now the first week of May. April 1st they started a silk along, but as you know, I've been working on this blanket this entire time. So I'm hoping to get this blanket done and then cast on the silk along. Because I've been sick, I haven't been at my guild at all for months. Like all of April, I'm pretty sure I wasn't able to go. I'm hoping to go tomorrow if I'm feeling a little bit better. But yeah, I'm hoping to see where everybody is on the silk along and then cast something on with the silk that I purchased a few months back for that. So that's Now to Once. Jigs and Reels. I talked a little bit about some of the ebooks that I bought. I have a Kobo. So if you're not from Canada, Kindles don't work in Canada with Canadian library systems. So when I purchased an e-reader, I specifically wanted to buy an e-reader that was going to work with my library system because I use our libraries in Alberta a lot. I love our libraries, and if you are new here, you wouldn't know. I read a ton, but I just absolutely love how a library is, in my opinion, one of the pillars of a community. So go support your library wherever you happen to be. So I have a Kobo. I got it for I think my husband gave it to me for my birthday. Pretty sure it was my birthday of 2025. So I've had it for a while. I usually read library books on it, but I've recently started digging into the Rakuten Kobo app and the website, and I found some free books. They do some free books to sort of authors that are maybe newer or have series that they want to see if you're interested in, and they'll give you the first book for free. There's lots of really cool books that I absolutely love. If you're new here, you wouldn't have heard me talk about The Good Women of Safe Harbour by Bobbi French. Probably one of my favorite books of all time. It was on Goodreads. Sorry, not on Goodreads. It was on the Kobo site for $2.99. Absolutely love that book. So if you haven't, and you do have a Kobo, or you want to go read a nice, cheap, easy read, but will touch your heart in ways you never thought possible, Good Women of Safe Harbour by Bobbi French. Just absolutely wonderful, wonderful read. Anyway, so I've been sort of twacking around the electronic site and finding books that are either of real interest to me. Maybe they'll just be a little bit of fluff for when I'm on vacation, but I've been filling up my Kobo with books for me and my kids so that when we do travel to Newfoundland that we've got lots to do, particularly if there isn't any internet. Because some of the places that we're going to be going are going to be fairly remote. And if, it's nighttime or whatever and we're not going to be out doing touristy things and the kids are just winding down before bed, rather than taking 10 big books with us and having tons of stuff to carry, I'll bring all of those in one small little package, which I'm really, really excited about. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about an e-reader, but I'm loving it. And now I'm actually looking at getting one each for the kids so that they have one as well. But anyway, have no idea. Oh, I was talking about twacking. So I bought a bunch of books. I'm really into World War II, thanks to my dad. Thanks, Dad. I love nonfiction books about World War II, particularly when it comes to things that maybe not everybody knows about. So, you know, maybe it was just me, but for the longest time I had no idea. Maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe it was the Official Secrets Act. But the whole idea of Bletchley Park has absolutely floored me, and I've read anything that comes across my desk, my virtual desk, about Bletchley Park. I will devour it. I'm absolutely obsessed with the idea, and it's my humble opinion that the people that worked at Bletchley Park were responsible for the end of the war in World War II. If you're not familiar, Bletchley Park is a place in England that was very unassuming. It was a park full of people that did code breaking. And a gentleman that you probably have heard of, his name's Alan Turing, was sort of known for helping break the code and building a machine, that the Enigma machine, that helped crack the German code. Anyway, absolutely fabulous. It's fascinating. World War II fascinates me in ways that I can't describe. The fact that it was something that even happened to me baffles me. I could talk about this forever, but I do not have a World War II podcast. I have a knitting podcast, so we'll get back on track. Oh, and like the knitting that happened in World War II, the fact that people knit, mostly women, knit, and they knit like messages in items that were coded into the item. So let's say it was a pair of socks. They would knit messages in the socks with the knits and purls so that messages could be passed without the Germans knowing what was going on. Like absolutely mind-blowing, really cool stuff. Yeah, so anyway, not a World War II podcast, knitting podcast. We're back on track. So yeah, I bought a bunch of books about World War II. I bought a bunch of historical fiction. I got some nonfiction, a book about Joey Smallwood, who is known in Newfoundland culture. He was a premier for Newfoundland for a bazillion years. What else did I get? I got some like cozy mystery books. Those are fun. Some easy, light reading for when we're on the road. So I really enjoyed that. And if you're into reading and maybe you're doing a travel, try an ebook. I think I don't know that it's for everybody, but there's so many benefits to it. Like you can cram a whole pile of books into one spot. You don't have to, obviously physically carry heavy books. I am very particular about my books. And Mom, if you're watching, I can hear you laughing through the camera already. My mom's not allowed to touch my books because she cracks the spine. And I don't want to get into a debate about whether you should or should not crack a spine, because in my opinion, there is no debate. You never crack the spine. But there are people out there that like do it on YouTube. Oh my God, it gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. Anyway, also not a book podcast. So yeah, there's so many benefits to an e-reader. If you are maybe starting to get, with my age, I'm starting to lose a bit of my sight. So I can increase the size of the font as much as I want. It's absolutely wonderful. Loving it. Let's see. This was not supposed to be a podcast about promoting ebooks, but here we are. Music. I haven't really been listening to a ton of music. I've been reading a lot, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So I usually have a paper book, some sort of hard copy paper book, an electronic book, an ebook, and an audiobook on the go at any given time. So at the moment, I was just devouring audiobooks, so I wasn't listening to a ton of music. As always, if I am choosing to listen to something, it's probably John Prine. That's my music of choice. What else? Best kind. I'm going to share a story here that I wasn't planning on sharing. I decided shortly, I don't know how to describe, very quickly into my cancer journey, I decided that I was going to write a book. And I sort of had like half-assed talked about doing it for quite some time and never picked it up because obviously health comes first. So I was busy going through the motions and living and trying to survive rather than trying to think about writing a book. In November of 2025, and I've probably talked about it here, my good friend Denise she bought a ticket for WordFest, and I think I talked about it on previous episodes, so if you want, you can have a look back and see if you can find anything where I talk about that. But WordFest is an event in Calgary, and Alan Doyle, who is like the world's best ambassador for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, had written a book called A Smiling Land, and he was going to be at WordFest. So Denise bought me a ticket for my birthday. We went, and it was absolutely wonderful. I came home that night, and I thought to myself, I'll start writing my book. Like, I can do that. Like, he's just a storyteller. I'm just a storyteller. So he happens to be a very good storyteller and a musician on top of it. But I decided if he could do it, so can I. So I literally started writing. I'm about 26,000 words into my book. My goal is to write until I don't have anything else to write. I've got a lot of things in there that, I've got lots of comments where it's like, oh, don't forget to come back and tell this story. And, I've sort of got little points to myself to come back and elaborate. So I'm expecting I'll probably get somewhere in the 60 to 65,000 words, which is enough for a book. So we'll see. Anyway, I digress. The point of Best Kind, where I talk about something that fills up my cup, a couple nights ago, I was sitting and writing, because I write for 10 minutes a day, and I wrote, a memory came to me where it's the idea of why me. And if you're new here and you haven't watched all the videos, I've got a very long history, and go back and watch it all. You can watch me lose my hair and grow it back and all kinds of stuff. But I've had a very tumultuous health journey since September of 2022, and it's now May of 2026. But this idea of why me came to me because when I was in my early 20s, I was a kinesiology in the world of rehabilitation. So people that have been in work-related accidents or car accidents, things like that, and I would help them return to their, hopefully, activities of daily living, their regular activities of daily living, as well as maybe their job or what have you. So I would help people with the physical, mostly aspects of returning to function. I went on to then treat chronic pain primarily, and that's still where my heart lies, I guess. My heart lies with chronic pain and chronic pain patients. And trust me, the irony is not lost on me at all about where I am in my journey. But I had one of my very, very, very first patients, and like at 20-something, I didn't know, pardon my French, I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground at the time. And, my very first job out of university, one of my very first patients, definitely the most difficult patient as far as physical injuries had that I would have been exposed to at this point. So this gentleman was in a pretty nasty car accident, and in some cases probably would not have survived. However, he did. And he said to me one day, we were doing some breathing exercises, and he happened to be a music teacher. So breathing is extremely important for a music teacher. He had to be able to blow into, like wind instruments and horns and like things that he would play for music, singing, things like that. So obviously breathing is important for everyday life, but in his particular situation, it was particularly important. So we were working on some breathing exercises, and he sort of sits up and he says to me, we were talking about his accident and kind of how it went down and how it occurred for him. And he said, "Why me?" And I sort of immediately went to, I know, right? Like, that was really terrible. And you're such a wonderful person and you're a teacher and, you know, why you? And he said, no, not in that way. Why did I survive when so many others don't? You know, there's car accidents all the time where people do not come out alive. Why was I the one that was chosen to survive? And that conversation really struck me at the time. And I didn't realize it, but it has permeated my entire life. And when I think about it now, it was ever present in my conversations with myself during my cancer situation. So the active treatment time when I was going through, you know, first when I hear the diagnosis, when I'm going through all of the biopsies and the testing and the surgeries and all of that sort of thing, and then finally finding out what it is and going through the treatments. Oftentimes I thought to myself, why me? Why have I been the one to come out the other side of this? And so far, touch wood, I'm alive and I'm here and there's no evidence of disease on any of my scans and I'm doing well. Why am I one of the ones that's doing well when so many others don't? So I wanted to thank this gentleman. I won't name him because some people that watch this may know him and it's not my story to share, but I wanted to thank him. So I did. I sent him a message and I said thank you. And he got back to me and you know, he said that he appreciated my sort of willingness to listen to him and to be present with him when he needed somebody to be there for him. And for me, it was a no-brainer, you know? Of course I'm going to sit and listen to you. You've been through hell. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that other than just to say in Best Kind, where I do things to fill my cup, that was definitely one of those things. And if ever you need a little bit of a perspective shift, maybe that might be something that you consider. You know, why me? Why was I the one that was spared my life? Why was I the one that was able to go through the journey and be successful and come out the other side a healthy, relatively healthy individual? Yeah, I don't know. Just something to think about, something to ponder. So that's it for Best Kind. That's all I got today. So I'm going to leave you on that note. I said this was going to be a short one. It definitely wasn't. I only had to pause once for a little coughing fit, and I didn't even bring my water with me. Hopefully we won't go as long in between each session for the next video, but you never know. Things happen and life happens and kids happen and all that sort of thing. But yeah, hopefully I will see you in 2 weeks. That's my general schedule, and if I don't, I'll see you when I see you. Until then, stay where you're to till I comes where you're at. Bye.